Once upon a time, it was trendy for large corporates to attach the words 2020 to the titles of their forward plans. It was a play on words with a nice ring to it. It suggested clarity, ambition, and foresight. But no one ever foresaw that their 2020 visions would end quite like this. The world brought to a shuddering halt, businesses forced to close, millions ravaged by a killer pandemic, whole populations locked up, families divided from their loved ones. So, right now, 2020 is a year we'd all like to forget. And as we head into 2021, we hope for renewal, for a brighter future, for a world that's rescued by the vaccine and no longer plagued by this damn pandemic. As we head into New Year, it's a good time to pause and reset. And that intention is captured well by the poet Jackie Kay. She's the Macker, the Scottish equivalent of the Poet Laureate, the national poet. She penned these thoughtful lines about the new year in her poem Promise, and it goes like this. Remember the time of year when the future appears like a blank sheet of paper, a clean calendar, a new chance. On thick white snow you vow fresh footprints, then watch them go with the wind's hearty gust. Fill your glass. Here's to us, promises made to be broken or made to last. Yeah. Promises made to be broken or promises made to last. And right now, as hopes for the vaccine grow, many business leaders are making promises that will change forever. We'll reset our strategies, we'll adopt a new mindset and behaviours, and we'll reset society. And I suppose I'm one of them. Because the virus told us that the lives we were leading before COVID are not fit for the future. But like our New Year's resolutions, are these promises to be broken or promises made to last? For 100 days of lockdown, between May and June 2020, I spent hundreds of hours in the company of global business leaders. I captured their thoughts on how they led in the crisis and their insights on how the world will change because of what we've all been going through. So let me quote you a few of the things that they said to me. Christian Lang is the CEO of Silicon Valley tech unicorn Tradeshift. He told me, with COVID-19, every single long-held belief has been thrown out of the window. The European CEO of Zurich Insurance Group, Alison Martin, articulated the choice that she believes we really face as we head into 2021. She said, "This is an opportunity for a huge wake-up call to be heard. This could be the reset year for all of us to say, what is the world we want to aspire for our children to live in? Can we try and build that one rather than the one we were destroying 8 months ago?" The US four-star general Stan McChrystal, he's the man who commanded the mission to capture Saddam Hussein. And he puts it like this with a warning on broken promises. There are few organisations that sadly have leaders who are waiting to snap back in muscle memory and get back to the way it was. That's a false idea. There is no going back because your competition is going to a better place. Anyone who gets caught going back to the rear is going to pay a terrible price. The leaders in lockdown concluded with 7 major themes. They're a good starting point as we stare into 2021. A starting point for how we do reset our business strategies for life after COVID and how we start to reset society. The 7 themes are the new age of purpose, the new world of work, tackling inequality, global cooperation, resilience, resetting the supply chain, and maximising the potential of us as individuals, as leaders, our teams, and our organisations. Lena Nair is the Chief Human Resources Officer for the global giant Unilever. She told me, we're staring into one of the defining challenges of our times, which is unemployment. We need to really lean into it and solve the social inequality. It's my hope we'll tackle these issues head on, but my fear is that organisations might just go back to bad behaviours. A vaccine comes along and people go back to doing the things we did in the past. There's a hope and a fear, and the jury is very much out on which one will win out. That's Lena's view. But it's not just individuals who are staring into poverty. The cost of the crisis will also weigh disproportionately on the poorer countries in the world. Gary Liu is the chief executive of the South China Morning Post, and he's another of my leaders in lockdown. He put it like this: we're going to see the rich countries dominate access to the vaccine, and the poor countries have almost none. The speed to get to the vaccine is going to determine the speed of economic recovery, because getting everyone back to work the way that we've had in the past is going to require a fully vaccinated population. There are going to be countries that come out of this many years faster than other countries. And the countries that are going to come out of this faster will be the ones that are already developed and economically stronger. So the inequality issue is going to be so much larger. That's Gary's view. Sasha Romanovich is another of my leaders in lockdown. She's the CEO of Fair for All Finance, and she used to run the global accountancy firm Grant Thornton in the UK. She says of the crisis, the one thing this proves is that trickle-down economics doesn't work. Much of caring for the most vulnerable has been delegated to charities. What we are seeing with the fallout from COVID-19 is that it's the most vulnerable who are being squeezed the most. She believes that we really need to create space for insight and reflection. She goes on to tell me, people must have the opportunity to appreciate what's been different about their lives over these months and what do they want to be different in the future. It may be a zillion little changes by individuals that create the new normal, but we need to actively redesign our lives in this new context. That's Sasha's view. Oswald Bjelland is the CEO of the advisory firm Zintio, and he describes our challenges in 2021 and our challenges in the future like this. The growth model has ended up on the rocks, he told me. The conflict between humans and nature is untenable. We can no longer avoid the conflict between the few and the many, with more and more money in the pockets of the few. And the intergenerational stress between young and old, and between short term and long term, needs to be seriously addressed. That's Oswald's view. For me, I have two other big thoughts going into 2021. We proved that during the pandemic that we can do remarkable things. We can think the unthinkable. We can make the impossible possible. We moved millions to home working in a matter of days, an achievement that could never have been imagined before COVID. We ran huge multinational companies from kitchen tables and sideboards in our bedrooms. We built vast field hospitals in months when it should have taken years. We created a vaccine in months when it would normally have taken decades. Businesses pivoted. That's a terrible word, but pivot they did into new services, new product lines at breakneck speed because they were faced with necessity, or they were faced with the impending death of their whole endeavour. So one major question for 2021 is, how do we capture that pace of change and that new mindset of thinking the unthinkable? How do we do that in peacetime? And as we face into the huge challenges of mass unemployment, the potential of a lost generation of our youth, the existential reality of climate change, and widening inequality everywhere, we need to capture the mindset that achieved the unthinkable in the COVID crisis and put that to the challenges of the future. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren not to go back to the way we were. We owe it to the millions who've been infected and the many hundreds of thousands of people who've died to not let this moment pass idly by. We must use the experience of COVID-19 to make this year's New Year resolutions stick. Big changes start with small steps. All our leaders in lockdown agreed that COVID-19 has brought society to a crossroads. We can choose one path or another. But it's only through the new habits of the many that we will improve our world and improve the lives of the 8 billion people who inhabit this planet. How successful will we be in this endeavour? In the end, as always, it comes down to leadership. So let's get started. Have a happy and healthy new year and a great 2021.